Welcome to the deep dive. You give us the sources, we give you the shortcuts to, well, strategic knowledge.
Basically the idea.
Today, we're cutting through some noise in content strategy. We're using a really specific example, a detailed transcript from a language learning show, the English Leap podcast.
Right.
But this isn't really about learning English itself. It's more a tactical look at instructional design and, business segmentation.
Absolutely right. Yeah, our mission here is to unpack that strategic segmentation of their content. How they went from, say, these faster, more advanced B1, B2 conversations to these really tailored, slower A1, A2 beginner modules. We're digging for those strategic nuggets in how they actually did it.
I pulled it off.
Specifically, how do you engineer vocabulary, the really essential stuff, so it becomes memorable, instantly memorable, even for someone who might be feeling totally overwhelmed.
Right.
It's about the scaffolding of knowledge, really, but from a business angle.
And the key thing for you listening is to recognize this structure they built. It's very deliberate, almost clinical, this mix of simplification and repetition.
Yeah.
Whether you're, developing a product, designing training, maybe launching a marketing campaign, understanding how experts manage that cognitive load for the learner, that's a shortcut. It gives you a leg up on effective design. We're really diving into their feedback loop here.
Okay, so let's start where they started, the problem. The original hosts, Aaron and Evan, who were doing well, right? They started getting this consistent feedback. You speak too fast. Now, that's not just a comment on speed. It's a signal, really, of a pretty big strategic miss in terms of who they could be reaching.
That's fascinating to me because B1 and B2, that's, intermediate conversational level on the CEFR scale.
Right.
That's where most hosts probably want to be. You can have deeper chats. But they clocked that the pace, perfect for some, was actually pushing away the A1 and A2 learners, the real beginners.
Exactly.
And you can't just ignore your entry point if you want to grow, can you?
No, it's a classic inflection point, isn't it, for any platform? You hit this stage where you have to choose. Do we double down on our current advanced users? Or do we make it easier for new people to come on board?
Because if they just told Aaron and Evan to slow down...
Well, they would annoy the B1, B2 crowd, right? Risk losing them. Burn.
So the elegant solution, segmentation.
Yeah.
But using new talent. Smart.
Very smart. They didn't mess with the core advanced stuff.
Oh.
Instead, they brought in Kate and Ben, new voices specifically for A1 and A2 topics, and the mandate was slow, clear pace.
Instantly solves that friction for beginners.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sacrifice the speed the advanced listeners liked.
Precisely. And this actually leads to another really key insight about community. For the advanced track, Aaron and Evan stayed focused on B1 and up.
Okay.
But they shifted what they talked about based on listener requests. Grammar deep dives, English for work, culture stuff, advanced daily chats.
So they basically turned the advanced listeners into co-creators.
You got it. That's brilliant for keeping that loyal base engaged long term, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. They went from just creating content to kind of facilitating it for that group. But how do they handle navigation? Because you've got these wildly different levels now. Confusing your audience seems like the quickest way to lose them.
Yeah, good question. They set a really clear non-negotiable standard. Every single piece of content, the thumbnail, has to clearly mark the language level, A1, B2, whatever it is.
That's just textbook cognitive load management.
Totally. An A1 learner doesn't waste mental energy figuring out if an episode's too tough. That friction's gone before they even click play.
Okay, so the strategy is just segmenting, labeling, that's the framework.
Yeah.
But it only works if the execution at that A1 level is, well, brilliant.
Right.
They chose daily routine for Kate and Ben's first proper deep dive. Why that? Why not, like, ordering food?
Because the daily routine gives you that universal narrative structure, chronology.
Right.
Every single listener, doesn't matter where they are, what their culture is, they have a daily routine. It's safe ground. It's predictable. It gives an immediate mental framework to hang new words on.
It's like minimum viable content for just functioning.
Exactly. Minimum viable content for immediate functional communication. That's a great way to put it.
So let's dig into how they use that timeline, that chronology, to deliver those high-frequency verbs. They break down the morning hour by hour. Starts with waking up.
And straight away you get contrast. That's a key memory hook. Ben's up at 7 a.m., Kate at 6:30.
Little details. Ben stays in bed a minute. Makes them feel like real people, not just voices.
Yeah, relatable characters. And then the first actions, this is where the micro-chunking starts. They don't just say, I get ready. No.
Right.
They break down the hygiene part. wash your face, brush your teeth, take a shower. So one concept, getting ready, becomes maybe 4 distinct, seeable steps. That really helps the learner recall the verbs attached to each one.
And they don't just say the phrase, do they? They
Yeah.
actually stop the chat. Ben mentions brushing teeth, and they explicitly say, okay, listener, practice brush my teeth right now.
Yes. That's what instructional designers call immediate retrieval practice. Or you could call it a closed-loop vocabulary synthesis.
Right.
They're demanding you use the word actively seconds after you hear it. That rapid application. It locks it into long-term memory way better than just passively listening.
The breakfast. More contrast. Ben's the coffee and eggs guy. Mr. Routine.
Uh-huh.
Kate likes tea, light fruit. So if I were designing, say, a training manual for some complex factory process, how could I use that coffee versus tea thing?
You use it to contrast methods, or maybe states. You link process A, let's call it the Ben method,
Right.
driver, coffee drinker with its own set of tools, maybe specific outcomes.
Right.
And process B, the Kate method, bus rider, tea drinker, gets its own distinct words and results. That personal contrast creates a bit of tension, and tension makes things stick. Contrast is super powerful for setting up those memory hooks.
Got it. And the morning ends with the commute. Still contrasting. Ben drives, radio, traffic. Kate takes the bus, music, her stops nearby. So we're embedding these core verbs and nouns in a story that's easy to follow because it's personal.
Which is why that vocabulary summary at under the morning bit is so crucial.
The recap.
Yeah, they wrap it up, listing those key phrases.
Yeah.
Wake up, wash your face, brush your teeth, take a shower, and so on. That's what's called interleaved practice. They took learning points that were spread out and pulled them back together for a quick review. Maximize retention before you move on.
Okay, smart. Then they shift into the workday. Smooth transition, talking about things both hosts do. Turn on the computer, check emails, reply to messages.
And they even mention that, slightly dull reality of emails taking ages.
Yeah, relatable.
And that's subtle, but it's powerful.
Oh.
Normalizing difficulty. Using simple words to talk about something relatable, maybe a bit frustrating, like long emails. It grounds the language. It doesn't feel academic. It feels, functional. Real life.
Then they map out meetings. Kate often has morning meetings, problems, tasks. Ben less often, maybe once or twice a week for ideas, planning projects.
So now you're getting verbs tied to work. Discuss, tasks, problems, share, ideas, plan, still keeping it tightly focused on functional work English, even at A1.
Lunch break. Here, the vocabulary seems tied to, like, recharging.
Yeah, rejuvenation. Kate brings a sandwich, Ben hits a cafe for soup, but the key action they both stress is the short walk, 10, 15 minutes.
Right, to feel fresh before going back.
Exactly. So they're embedding words related to wellness, transition, feel fresh, take a walk.
That little walk is like the bridge, isn't it? Between the morning grind and the afternoon.
Yeah.
Reinforces the whole cycle structure they're using.
Mm-hmm. It's an easy phrase, too. Take a walk, feel fresh. Instantly usable.
And this rhythm, this structure, makes this simple language feel really purposeful. Like every verb has its job in getting you through the day.
Absolutely. And the workday wraps up at 5:00 p.m., described as the best feeling. A nice, clear, emotional endpoint before the evening part starts.
Evening routine. Mapped out just as carefully. Commute home. Repeat the contrast again. Solidifies those verbs one more time. Kate's bus, music, relaxing. Ben's drive, traffic, podcast.
And the first thing at home, this carries like real emotional weight. Changing clothes?
Taking off the work stuff.
Putting away work clothes, putting on something soft, comfortable. That anchors the verbs, change clothes, put away to that feeling of relief, comfort, strengthens the emotional hook for a beginner.
Dinner continues the contrast review. Ben cooks chicken, rice, pasta, always water.
Kate, later meals, soup, salad, always tea. It's repetition, but it doesn't feel boring because the contrast keeps it fresh.
Right, the personal details provide the variation.
Yeah, then the wind down. Different activities. Kate washes dishes, watches TV. Ben reads, calls family. This is the final vocabulary layer, linking verbs like read, watch, call, talk to, relaxing after you've eaten.
And finally, the bedtime prep. It's like the closing checklist for the day's words. Brush teeth, wash face, change into pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
They both read a bit to get sleepy. Completes the cycle. And the final contrast. Kate's asleep by 10:30. Ben by 11.0.
What this whole case study really shows, I think, is that success with beginner content isn't about complex words, it's about efficient delivery.
Right.
They use that daily routine like an organizing grid, a scaffold, every key verb introduced through chronology, then reinforced with contrast, and finally cemented with that immediate practice.
So we took a beginner English lesson transcript, basically, and pulled out a blueprint for effective content strategy.
Pretty much.
We saw the business decision segmenting by CEFR level was vital, and the tactical execution, using the daily routine as that universal chronological anchor that was the engine driving retention.
Yeah, if we boil down the takeaway, our deep dive wasn't really about whether Ben prefers coffee or Kate prefers tea.
Yeah.
It was about how they deliberately engineered simplicity so they could scale their platform. They managed the learner's cognitive load perfectly. Clear labels, strong memory hooks, just nailed it.
Which leaves us with that final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. In our work, maybe even our personal lives, we often rush to grab complex, abstract language,
Yeah.
to sound smart or authoritative.
Mm-hmm. We do.
But what does the structure of this beginner deep dive tell us about the hidden power, the foundational strength of truly mastering the simple, high-frequency words, the ones describing our own daily lives?
That deep, simple mastery, perfected through repetition, through contrast. Maybe that's what enables all the complex stuff later on. Something to think about.